it's Maryanne. Welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. Today, we're going to get into it. We are going to get into one of the biggest chronic issues that I know of, which is getting your board to engage in fundraising. Ugh. I've been doing this work a really long time, and this is consistently one of the themes that people struggle with. And so we're going to talk today about why it's so hard, what you can do about it. And I'm going to give you one, two, three, four, five steps to really shift this in your culture, in your life, so that you can enroll them. Because we know fundraising at its heart is a team sport, and you can't do it alone. And that can be one of the reasons why this is so frustrating, because you're not really, I don't think, or what in my experience, what I've seen, people really aren't asking for that much. Hey, could you shoot me a couple names? Could you talk to a couple people? Could you call some people and say thank you? It's really not that big of a ask that you're making, and yet even in those smaller asks, they're not getting done, or the bigger asks are not getting done. Either they don't do it, they just ignore it, or there's downright resistance. This isn't what I signed up for. I don't want to do this. I'm not comfortable, all of those things. And it can make enrolling boards in fundraising very difficult. No one wants to be on the development committee. No one wants to help get sponsorships. And, I call the pain of fundraising is the trifecta of money, which is already a trigger, the vulnerability of asking for help, and the possibility of rejection. And if you don't understand fundraising, if your mindset is one of fundraising is a burden, I don't want to bother people, all of that, then it's going to be really hard to even do small tasks, even just call and thank people. There's going to be resistance. So how can you move past that and enroll people in what you want them to do, but in a way that feels good to them, that feels easy and fun and to do? Because listen, if it doesn't feel good, they're not going to do it. They're just not. They may do it once, but to sustain something, to build a culture where the board is just enrolled by default, that was going to be difficult. So how can we do that? What can you do? So the first thing you want to do, like here's what I want to share with you is where I want you to consider shifting your thinking and to grow your influence by thinking of yourself as a fundraising coach, just like me. And the way I coach and train people to open up their mind, to build relationships, to connect with people, to ask for what they want, to navigate all the feelings that come up with that. That's what you're going to learn to do. You can't just give people directive. It's not enough. And you're like, oh my God, now I have to learn how to be a fundraising coach. Well, listen, it's cool. First of all, I can teach you. And second, it'll benefit you in so many ways. First, by enrolling other people. Again, this is a team sport. You don't have to do this alone. And it works best when, we're all working together to grow the organization, to bring in assets into the organization. But also, once you learn these skills of growing your influence, of enrolling people in a vision, of getting people to do what you want them to do, you can literally use this in any way you want. That could be growing your board, volunteers, whatever you want people to do. Now you know how to do it, and you can teach other people to do it. And the big shift that you're going to want to make is to think of yourself as a coach. Just as if you would hire me to coach you, you are going to coach them. And what does that mean? That means guiding them. That means holding their hand through some things, helping them understand, figuring out what they can do and what they can't do, and going from there. A lot of times that we just want people to, like, here, do this, and we don't really give them any direction or support. We just kind of want them to do it, and like, here, just do this. I don't want to think about it anymore. If you invest a little bit of time and a little bit of energy up front, you're going to get so much on the back end. And now you're going to raise their game, and now it's part of the culture, and now they can take over. And so when new people come on the board, you have board members that are training them. So they're becoming coaches, right? Good leaders create more good leaders. So here we go. First step. Step number one is, actually, I'm going to go back. I have 6 points, but the first one is about you. No one is going to be more excited, more comfortable, more engaged than you. You set the emotional temperature for this. If you're resistant to fundraising, if there's hesitation in you, they are going to pick up on that. If you want the board to fundraise because you're afraid to do it, it's really not going to work. I typically don't like to speak in absolutes, but I'm going to tell you, if you're not comfortable with it, they're not going to be comfortable with it. So you have to take your own emotional temperature first. Are you confident in your skills? Do you understand how to enroll people? Do you feel like you're in a position to coach and guide them? If you're not, I can help. No problem. Now, because no one is going to be more excited, more invested, more more comfortable than you. And if you're and so you're gonna create that standard that they can rise to meet. So if you're an executive director or development director, anyone who is involved in fundraising, you set the temperature. And the more comfortable you are, and the more excited you are, the more passionate you are, the more they will pick up on that. If there's resistance, they're going to pick up on that too. So that's number one. Number two, we want to define their role. So what is the board's specific role in fundraising? And there's a phrase, the riches are in the niches. And the more specific you can be, the more the more inclined they are to do it, because they understand exactly what it is that they want to do. Now, you've probably heard me say this before. I have this 4-step process to enroll people. Very simple: awareness, interest, connection, action. Awareness being that top level publicity, social media, all of that, where you're trying to get known to people who don't know you. But then there's interest, which means these are people who are now known to the organization via some kind of mechanism, an email list, a subscription, or something. Mostly it's an email list, right? They get on your email list. They're saying, I'm interested. You're like, okay, great. We're going to keep you here. And then there's connection. So connection is small group, one-on-one, where there's personal direct contact. That could be something like a lunch and learn, something like a, one-on-ones, coffees, small groups, and, small things in people's homes. Whatever creates a personal one-on-one connection, and that leads to action. Awareness, interest, connection, action. Where I find the board's role to be the best is moving people who are interested and inviting them into connection. And what does that look like? I have a whole program about this, and I'm not going to go specifically into it today because I've done podcasts on it before. But the goal is to give them a specific task to do. So for instance, they could have a goal that they're going to meet with one person a month, and just to talk about, hey, to get together with somebody, and like, I'd love to, share about, this organization to see if you might be interested. Whatever you decide is totally okay. I just really love to connect with people. I'm really passionate about this work and would love to connect with you about it. Most people will say yes to that, especially if you make it that it's their decision. If you want to, great. If not, that's okay too. But their job is to really find people who may be interested in learning more, and then stoke that connection, and then pass it on to staff. So now let's say you have a big event, and we're going to dispatch your board, not to like, we're going to dispatch the board not to talk about how great your organization is, but to connect with people. What brought you here today? What are you excited to see? How did you hear about us? How long, oh, I've been giving for a long time. Oh my goodness, what makes you keep giving? Tap into that person. And now their job is like, I'm so glad to be here. I've always wanted to get involved. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Why don't I introduce you to our development coordinator over here? I'm sure she'd love to talk with you more. Like now I have dispatched this board with your antennas up, right? Where I'm going to just strengthen that antenna, that radar that, oh, that person may be connected. I'm going to send that name to that person. It's a very specific job. And so the more specific you can be, the better it is. Now, here's the thing. I have a pretty strong belief that it's really not a board member's job to ask for money, because that's a high level skill. Now, if they want to learn to do it, great, let's do it. But that's not where we're going to start. Okay. That takes practice. But using your natural influence and your natural ability to connect and just having your antenna up to see if somebody might be interested in your organization. And if they are, great. And if not, that's okay too. That's a perfect job for them. So you want to say, what is our process for enrolling donors into our organization? And where does our board fit into this? Where does our development committee fit into this? How do those roles differ? Most of the problem I see is there's really not a defined role. Or it just keeps changing because, well, they didn't do that. So let's see if we can get them to do this. So they didn't do that. So we're going to create something and commit to it, because we have to commit to it because it's going to take them a little time to catch on. And that's okay. All right. The second thing we want to do is release the pressure. You know how if anybody use a pressure cooker and you have that valve and you like, shh, and all the steam comes out? That's what we want it to feel like. Let's release the pressure. And I think this is really sometimes tough for people to wrap their head around, and that's okay. If they don't really absorb this in the beginning, that's all right. Now, here's what's going to happen though. You want to say, whatever you decide is totally okay. Whatever you decide is totally okay. So you don't have to make anybody do anything. You don't have to pitch. You don't have to sell. You don't have to convince. If whatever they want, it's fine. You don't have to, and they're like, what? No. And in fact, it works better, because the minute we try to push, convince, sell something to someone, they're going to push back. They're going to shut down. It's really about just making meaningful, authentic connections. And if there is one, great. If not, that's okay too, because that's the way this works best. Once you start putting pressure on people, right, there's resistance. And in that resistance, people are going to back away. So we're going to release the pressure, make it feel easy, make it feel fun. They don't need to get anybody to do anything. The only thing they get to do is connect with people and see if there's an alignment. If there is, great. If not, that's okay too. Also, what makes this releasing the pressure is them really understanding the process by which we enroll donors. So if board members are very protective of their contacts and their names. Oh, can you give me 10 names? They're not going to give you those names if they don't know what's going to happen. So if they understand the process and their role in it and what's going to happen after, they might be more likely, because there's a level of trust. But there's not trust, they're not going to do that. So you say, hey, if they're interested, I'll follow up. And honestly, whatever they decide is totally okay, right? I'm going to, as the development person, as the executive director, I'm going to reinforce that when I go to connect with people and want to move them to action, whatever they decide is totally okay, right? And they understand that everyone is seen and valued for who they are, whether they give or not, all of that. So you want to release that pressure, both in what they do and then what comes before them and after them, because that's when they are going to realize, okay, it's okay. Nobody's going to like badger my friends, which is what they think you're going to do, which is why they don't give you those names. They're not going to tell you that, but that's what they think. All right. Now we're up to number 4, which is master their mindset. You're a coach now. You're a fundraising coach. And so your job is to understand what the mental blocks and barriers are and honor those. We don't want to say, I can't believe they just won't do this. Because we all say that, like, why is this so hard? You want to provide training, ongoing support, whatever they need to do this. And it's probably going to take a little more than you thought. And again, right, and if we really want to move the needle, if you really want to enroll them, you have to think like a coach. And a coach will say, okay, where are you at? Right? Here's where you're at. Here's where we want you to be. What can we do to get you there? How can we support that journey? I'm going to tell you straight up, some people are going to really, some board members, committee members are going to jump on this more than others. And that's okay. You're not, you're not going to get 100%, but if you can get 50 to 70%, and those late adopters, they'll come along eventually. Just don't worry about it too much if you've got some resistance there. Don't let that make you want to stop, throw everything out the window. So you want to master their mindset, understand how their thoughts and feelings around fundraising are getting in the way, could be getting in the way of taking action. Again, that's about releasing the outcome, understanding how to navigate rejection or objections. Understanding that you don't have to push or convince or make somebody do anything. All of those things, those are very important. Understanding their mindset. We can't go around it. We can only go through it, because again, if there's resistance, mental resistance, if their mindset is this is going to be hard, or I don't want to do this, they're not going to do it. All right, now we've got 5. Provide training and ongoing support. Making this part of your board meeting, your board service, is providing some kind of training. It doesn't have to be super formal. I'm not saying that, I do trainings and things, and that's awesome. But what kind of training can you give them? Even like mini lessons during board meetings or committee meetings or whatever. And what kind of ongoing support? So if those are like, they can check in with you, they can do one-on-ones with you to get some guidance about certain situations, that kind of thing. You have to think about not just giving them a directive, but it's about how they think and feel about it, what actions they're going to take, and then a system of accountability, which those 2 are coming next. So let me review. 1, you're going to set the emotional temperature. 2, define their role. 3, release the pressure, right? Release the pressure. 4, master their mindset. And 5, we're going to provide some sort of training and ongoing support. Whatever that looks like for you, but you're a coach, and coaches provide support. So if you're thinking of yourself as a fundraising coach, you're going to think, okay, how can I help them build their skills and provide ongoing support as they start to implement these and grow their skill set? Okay. Number 6. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, I'm with you. I'm learning to count. Action. What will they do? What specifically do you want them to do? Now we define their role. And so we can say, okay, what do you want them to do? How often and by when? And that's a really important thing. Do you want them to maybe agree to do one-on-one a month with a colleague or a contact that they have? Would they agree to, like in some organizations, they do small group events, and I really, really recommend something that you can have to invite people into, that a lunch and learn, a breakfast thing, a tour, or something that a board member can say, oh, hey, I love this organization. I'd love to introduce it to you. We do these things called lunch and learns. There's no solicitation or anything like that. It's just a really cool way for you to see the work that we're doing, and and meet cool people or whatever it is, right? Because you have some sort of ongoing either quarterly or monthly event that you can invite people into, and their job is to attend a certain amount of these. Like you do 2 a year, so how many and by when? And you have that specific action. Maybe their job is to give you 10 names for possible sponsorship, right? And they do that every year at this time. And again, I don't want to laundry list their role. I want you to think about what is the best way they can support this work that feels good to them and is beneficial to us, because there's totally something in there that'll work that way. I know there is. And so what will they do and by when? And then the last piece, the very last piece, is accountability. Creating a system of accountability. And I guarantee you, when somebody says, my board won't do this, blah, 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 I say, well, what kind of system of accountability do you have? Oh, we don't have that. We don't have that. Like, oh, okay. All right. So that could be part of the issue. And honestly, I don't, there's not one system of accountability I'm saying you have to use this, just have one. That can mean check-ins, right? Every board meeting. That could be where part of your board agenda is in the fundraising. First of all, fundraising is on your agenda, and second, one of it is like, all right, everybody reports out on either who they're bringing or who they brought or who they met with or whatever. And the other system of accountability could be some sort of record keeping, a Slack or some kind of place where they can say, hey, I'm bringing this person or I brought this person, just so staff can be, it's known to staff like who they're talking to, so you can follow up if follow up is necessary. And also part of this system of accountability is celebrating. It's not just keeping people on track, but it's honoring the contributions that they're making. So now your board meeting is like, oh, John went out and introduced us to Sue, and Sue is now, her company is now sponsoring our gala, and I'm so excited that she's sponsoring our gala. And thanks, John, for that lead. And everybody cheers. And now they realize that what they're doing works. What they're doing has an impact. And they are going to be more excited to do it again. The system of accountability is absolutely critical. So let's quickly review how you're going to be a fundraising coach to your board or development committee or whoever it is you want to enroll in this. Right. So first is you set the temperature. You have to be comfortable. And right. Second is define their role. Right. Understand the process before and after and their specific role in that process. 3, release that pressure. You don't have to push, pitch, sell, convince. That's not how we do this. We make authentic, aligned connections. And if there's truly something there, we can explore it. If not, it's okay. Number 4 is master the mindset. 5, provide training, right? 6, action. What will they do? How often? And by when? And 7, accountability. That's it, man. That's it. That's how we're going to roll with this. If you can put that together, or let me say, when you put that together, again, this is going to take some time and attention upfront. And I feel like that can part of it. It's like, I have so much to do, and now I have to go train my board. Yes, you do. If you truly want them to support you on this journey, you are going to think like a coach. And a coach thinks, okay, where are you at? Where do you want to be? What can I do to help you get there? One of the best questions I was ever asked as a board member is, how can we make your board experience, your board service, the best experience you've ever had? And if you ask them, how can we make your board experience the best experience you've ever had, they will tell you. And if you ask them, how can we make your role in fundraising the best experience you've ever had fundraising, the most fun thing you ever did, what would that look like? They will tell you. We're not asking that. We're just giving, mostly we're giving directive. Do this, do that. And they're just not connecting with it. They're not connecting with it for all the reasons I said up front. So that's it. This is how we enroll our board in fundraising. We're going to think like me and a lot of other wonderful colleagues and friends of mine. We're going to think like a fundraising coach. So if you want to learn more about how to unlock your own potential to lead and guide others and enroll them in a vision, I am here for you. This is what I do. It's my favorite thing. And by the way, I'm pretty good at it. I'm actually really good at it. There's a little link in the bio to connect with me. Please fill out a form. You can book a time with me. I'm happy to talk with you more about where you're at, where you want to be, what it looks like to work with me, and if I can get you there. And that's it for this episode of The Influential Nonprofit. I will see you next time.